Hello, crypto friends. Going to spend a few minutes here talking about a company. And if you've been following this channel, you know this is certainly something we do not do. We get ICOs and projects emailing us multiple times a week asking to pay us to cover their projects. And our automatic answer is, sorry, we don't do that. That's not what our channel is about. So I'm covering this company because it hits it a little bit closer to home. It's one of my good buddies, Graham, who started this. And we have a bit of a history in terms of entrepreneurship and living together. So I'll give a little bit of a background story and then we'll talk about feed bans and what it does. I was in the middle of road tripping, heading out west, and through a friend of a friend, met Graham. He was building a garden and he had just moved into a spot with pigs. I wanted to go check out those pigs. I said, hey, can I come camp on your land for 2 weeks? I have farming experience. I'll help in the garden and I'll be on my way. He said, sure. I showed up, had a great time. It was a community house. There were tons of great people coming and going at all different times, great gatherings, and I wanted to stay. So I proposed that we blow things up. If we're going to do this, let's make it a farm. So we made tons of beds, grew a ton of food. We had goats, chickens, pigs, and again, just an incredible time, something I'll never forget. And he was working on feed bans at that time as an entrepreneur, and my goal was just farming, and I was the farm manager. Then Jason, my current business partner, planted the seed of TheChartGuys and said, yeah, sure, let's give it a go. And Graham was the first person in the first week that said, you guys are going to blow up. It's going to be great. You're going to be a success. And I said, yeah, great, sure, that'd be wonderful. We'll see. But he could really see, and he was a big inspiration as another entrepreneur, planting seeds in terms of ideas, and really definitely helped with the progress of TheChartGuys in the early stages. So what he was doing was feed bans. And at that point in time, they were a service that prints to vinyl independent music. So if you're familiar with the music industry at all, you know that the artists pretty much get screwed left and right all the time. They don't make the money that they deserve for their music and their art, and it's taken by services like Spotify that pay them junk, or by the big wigs at the top who get the majority of the money. So feed bans is essentially trying to help those independent artists get discovered and give them a bit of money, give them the printed vinyl to be able to distribute to their fans, and then they would have a subscription service where they would once a month send these records out to their user base. They've now since gone digital, and we actually called the farm the Feed Bands Farm for a while, and we would have bands come through town, and they would come and stay on the farm, and we'd cook them a big breakfast the night after their show, made from all stuff around the farm and the chicken's eggs. And it was, again, just an incredible experience and a lot of fun. So I really know that Graham is doing good things, and so is this company. I can vouch for it without needing any monetary incentive whatsoever. And they have since digitized by now having their music online. They've got radio stations to listen to in terms of genres, and they have now incorporated Bitcoin into their platform as a cryptocurrency space, or joining the cryptocurrency space, where essentially they're paying artists twice what they're getting on Spotify. They're paying them in Bitcoin. They're paying streamers who are listening small amounts in Bitcoin. And if you, as an affiliate, get an independent artist to put their music on feed bans through your link, you then earn Bitcoin based on how many listens and streams that independent artist does get. So it's really an environment that's designed to be created where everybody's getting a little piece of the pie, and most importantly, the artists are getting the biggest piece of the pie. And so it's a really cool website and company to check out. So they've got all different kinds of artists. You probably heard of a few of them. They've got the vinyl that they've already pressed, and they have voting every month to determine who gets pressed to vinyl. But some familiar names here, like, let's see, a bunch of unknown names, obviously, because it's independent music that is waiting to be discovered. But The Movement, Two Bob Crew, Desert Dwellers, these are names that I knew beforehand. Giant Panda, Gorilla Dub Squad, The Floozies. And I've helped some of these bands get in touch with Graham. Like Giant Panda, I said, hey, I really like this band. They have some good albums. You should press them. So it's as simple as that. Just recommending that independent artists, some squabby, get on this platform for users to be able to discover. So they also plant trees. Every 100 qualified streams, they plant a tree. And at this point, they planted over 10,000 trees through trees.org. So again, just doing good things and trying to have a mutually beneficial relationship with everybody that's using their platform where everybody's winning. And I certainly love the mutually beneficial platform style for all things business related. And I think that you should all check out feedbands.com. And if you know independent artists, everybody, has some friends in a band or trying to make it, suggest that they get on this platform and maybe they get upvoted to get their music pressed on vinyl. And you can see who's, getting the most streams and how many upvotes they have and all that. So check out this platform, feedbands.com. I would appreciate it. And again, most importantly, it's another business that is embracing the cryptocurrency space and working towards adoption and having a lot of transactions and a lot of exposure to that cryptocurrency space, which is what we want to see, functionality and userability, I don't know if that's a word, but it is now, in the cryptocurrency space for real world uses. So thanks for your time. I appreciate your attention, and we'll get into some analysis now. Hey crypto friends, we're checking in on the major names here: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, BCH, which I forgot yesterday, XRP, BNB, and ADA. So we've seen a lot of wild continuation and now pullback. We knew pullback was inevitable. The takeaway for me in the last 24 hours is technical analysis, nice, clean, smooth technical analysis is back in the space. The reason for that is the influx in volume. We're not just dealing with low volume bots back and forth. We have retail traders back in the game. And most importantly, we have emotions back in the game. And when emotions are at play, people who utilize charts can capitalize on those emotions from the herd. So we have a pullback right now. And on Bitcoin, we're wondering, is this our higher low on the daily already set? It was a very brief pullback, and this is pretty much the most bullish reaction that the bulls could see from our break. So yesterday we had huge volatility with great oversold bounces, and we ended up with an equilibrium. So we had the high, low, lower high. Let's draw these lines in. And we know equilibriums are most likely after high volatile scenarios, as we need new price discovery of new ranges. So high, low, lower high, higher low, almost a double top. We did get a little bear break with no follow through, still lower highs, a more significant follow through of a bear break. But again, look at the low of 47.87, and we broke that low at least on Coinbase by $9 straight into a bounce. So we were sitting here watching for hourly oversold conditions. Again, talking about technical analysis working again. Remember, when we're in strong bull moves, the first 5-minute oversold bounce we see usually gets a solid little bounce. The first hourly oversold bounce we see usually gets a solid bounce. So the RSI at the bottom of this candlestick did drop down right to about 30, 31. And now we're getting this follow through. Keep in mind, Bitcoin is king. I was trying to play this hourly oversold bounce on Litecoin. I placed my orders to scale in, but the RSI on the Litecoin hourly chart was a bit higher than Bitcoin. So I placed my orders a bit lower. And while Bitcoin bounced right off that 30 level, Litecoin never quite got to it. So I did not get my fills. So again, you want to be basing things off of Bitcoin. That was a little lesson and reminder for me, getting back into the swing of things after being away from the cryptocurrency space for a while. But I'm back to applying the technical analysis that I've been using on stocks over the last year, where I've sat this space out for the most part, and it is still working. So we're now looking at a bounce, and anything under 50.46 is an hourly lower high. So we're not changing the hourly trend just yet, but again, it's a good sign for the bulls when you see this solid little bounce off of a support break. Just a little 3% bounce in under 2 hours. And to change this trend, the bulls are going to have to set a lower high compared to 50.46, and then we're going to have to set a higher low and then change the trend. So what that's going to look like, if the bulls can follow through here, likely a lower high compared to 50.46, then we get our higher low, then we change the trend, pretty much an inverse head and shoulders pattern, indicating that our daily higher low is set, which again would be ideal, as this pullback hasn't been too bad considering the size of the run. And you could make the argument that's a bit of a bull flag. We do have the big upper wick to deal with, so I would be looking, well, really, let's take it one step at a time. First things first, bulls have to change the hourly trend, because if we don't and we keep setting lower highs and lower lows, we are still going to be watching for that hourly RSI to get oversold again. ETH, let's go to Litecoin next. So Litecoin, I did play that first 5-minute oversold bounce. So I was at my computer at that point in time, and I was remembering the same strategy. We've been applying this to the MJ sector over the last few months, and we were looking at this quick pullback and 5-minute RSI being oversold. So I played this little bounce right here. We pulled back. I got a fill at 91.10. I had another order down at 90.10. And the reason I had lower orders is, again, because LTC was more oversold on the 5-minute than Bitcoin. So I said, all right, well, if Bitcoin's going to get oversold on the 5-minute, that means that LTC's RSI can get a little bit more extreme. In this instance, we didn't get that much follow through, but ended up getting a fill at 91.10, almost the bottom, and then sold it very quickly after 92.50, I think. Just a quick 1.5% move in about 10-15 minutes before heading out. And that pays for dinner and then some. So little flips. I haven't scalped a play like that in the crypto space in quite some time. It was based off the RSI. And of course, I went out to dinner right about there and then missed this all-out dump and great bounce opportunity. But what that did do is shook me out of my plan a little bit, in the sense that I had the plan that I was going to keep swinging as long as the daily uptrend is intact. But when I got home from dinner, and because of that, I didn't have a stop loss set. And my position is small. It's not a significant sized position. It's about 15% of the capital that I have attributed to cryptocurrency here. But I came home and we were at right about here. And I could see, all right, wow, I missed a huge dump and a huge bounce, huge volatility. And I know an hourly lower high is going to form. So I'm changing my game plan. I'm exiting in the upper 80s for Litecoin. I got a little bit of a reminder. I lucked out by the size of the bounce, because if I came home down 25% or down 20% from where I left, I would have been a bit bummed. But fortunately, that bounce allowed me that exit. So I went back to all cash on Litecoin on that hourly lower high and said, all right, the volatility is clearly back. I'm just going to trade that volatility like I did in 2017. So from there, laid out a game plan in the chat room for a bearish entry, keeping in mind that I'm still not trading bearish at this point because there's still plenty of opportunity elsewhere. Again, crypto is not my main focus right now. MJ still is. This has been a nice surprise and a nice opportunity, but until we see consistency for more than just a couple days, I'm not going to shift what's been working. So we were looking at an hourly, the game plan on how I set up this bearish setup was, all right, we saw a huge dump and a huge bounce. So we know the most likely scenario from here for Litecoin is that we're going to set an hourly lower high. Where are we? So we were looking for the hourly lower high to be set. What is the first indication that our hourly lower high is set? We have the longer term time frame, the most likely scenario in our heads. We then zoom in and look for the details of that playing out. So the first indication that our hourly lower high has been set is a loss of the 5-minute uptrend. So we saw the bounce follow through. We hit the low, high of the bounce, higher low, higher high, higher low, lower high, tightening range, bull break. So right about here, I'm posting in the chat room saying the loss of the 5-minute uptrend is the first indication that our hourly lower high is being set. We then pulled back, set a support level, saw this weak bounce. So at that point, this weak bounce starts, and we can say our new higher low is 87.84. If we lose 87.84, our 5-minute uptrend is lost. That's the first indication that our hourly lower high has been set. Is that going to be the indication every single time? No, but more often than not, it's going to follow through, and we ended up with just 5-minute lower highs and lower lows from there. And when asked what the target was for a hourly higher low to form, I looked back here, I said 83.05 is a clear level of established support. I then looked at the hourly time frame to get a visual representation of what that would look like if we did pull back to 83, what that hourly higher low would look like. And it looks like TradingView is not cooperating right now, but it looked to me like, okay, 83 is a good target to have on that pullback because there's a support level there and because we will be looking for that higher low to form on the hourly anticipated equilibrium. So the longer term time frame, we have what's most likely to happen in our minds, and then we look for it on the shorter term time frames. So I personally would have exited that short in the 83s, knowing that a higher low was very likely to come. Other traders held and went to bed, and that's perfectly fine. That's a perfectly fine strategy if you got a stop loss set, because we ended up just forming this equilibrium all night, and Litecoin stayed in it a bit longer than Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a little bear break here. We did not get that bear break in Litecoin. Stayed tight. There's your break, and there's your follow through. So we ended up pulling back down to 80.60 or 80.37, and from the bear signal up in the, let's see, what was that bear signal? 87. 87.50s was the bear signal for the uptrend being lost. 87.80s. And we ended up pulling back down about 8%. So again, you don't have to nail the top and nail the bottom, but we got an entry close to the top. And out of that significant 8% pullback from the signal. If you make a 4% move and only get half of that move, it's still very much worthwhile. So that was a nice short signal. The hourly time frame now, again, I had just now before making this video, I had a buy position, buy orders scaled in 79.10, 77.10, 75.10, and just scaled it down looking for the oversold conditions. Hourly RSI did not get oversold, and we're seeing a really nice bounce follow through. So I missed this bounce, no big deal whatsoever, and I'll wait for the next clear setup. So we're looking at anything under 87.69 being an hourly lower high. Need to change the hourly trend back for the bulls. Daily inside bar extremely likely, and we'll look to see how this daily inside bar forms tomorrow. And we can also see a 4-hour equilibrium with our high and low on the same candlestick. Lower high of 90.84, higher low of 80.37, and anything under 90.84 we would consider a lower high. So keeping an eye on all time frames, hourly, 4-hour, and daily, most important for me. Daily inside bar is set. ETH. ETH is a daily inside bar. So similar pullback, not going to go through in as much detail, but we're seeing the bounce now. Anything on this hourly chart under 162.57 is just a lower high, keeping the bears in control of the hourly chart. And we didn't drop quite back down to the recent lows. The hourly RSI got more close to oversold, pretty much in line with where Bitcoin was. So closer than Litecoin got. But we have to change the hourly trend to shift momentum. If we do, the 4-hour time frame, high, low, lower high is the top of the bounce, 164.84. Higher low trying to be set at 153.50. Don't have enough follow through yet, but we're going to be watching for a tightening range on the 4-hour time frames. And just now going through this video, it's standing out to me as the most clear. Little bit different because the high and the low of the first range is in the same candlestick. Let's see if the 2-hour chart gives us a bit more clarity. A little bit. So high, low, lower high, higher low. Anything under 164.84 is just a lower high. So keep an eye on the 2-hour chart for just breaks it up a little bit more and makes the levels a bit more clear. So we held support for all three of these names from the low of the dump, and we're just staying in a tightening range. BCH, the wild mover from yesterday, huge swings in both directions, daily inside bar here. So again, looking at the 4-hour time frame, it's a tightening range. Let's see it on the 2-hour to see if it stands out as more clear to us. So high, low is 268, lower high is 330. Now we have another higher low at 271, and we're going to be looking at anything under 330 as just a lower high. But a bounce starting to take place now. Let's see if the hourly RSI got oversold. It did not. We held that low of 268 just barely. That was a really nice bottom fishing play. Congrats to any bulls that got that one. Nice little bounce off that support at this point. Just like everybody else, looking at the hourly downtrend still in play and looking at the 2-hour or the 4-hour time frame for the broader tightening ranges that are forming as these daily inside bars tighten up. XRP pulling back a bit more significantly, it looks like. And another thing you want to do if you're determining, which name do I want to play, look at who saw the biggest bounce, look at who saw the biggest pullback, and the more volatile names are going to have more opportunity. So XRP hourly still a downtrend. Anything under 343 is just a lower high. We did hold that 328 low. Actually, I take that back. We just barely broke it. Pretty much a double bottom. And we are looking at the longer term time frames here. High, low, our lower high is 351. We'll call that a double bottom because it only broke just barely. And anything under 3.4 is just a lower high in this tightening range. Binance daily inside bar, just sideways trading, still extremely strong overall. Didn't see a huge move with everybody else, but it certainly has been seeing huge moves over the last couple months. And we have an equilibrium on the hourly here. Let's see if it's clear on the 4-hour. So I'd be looking at it just starting from here because it makes it more clear and more easy to visualize for me. And it's the high of this move, the low of 18, lower high of 1941, higher low of 1816, lower high. Anything under 1941 is a lower high, and we're going to watch this 4-hour pattern to continue to tighten up on a very healthy daily uptrend and yet another daily inside bar. ADA USDT, healthy pullback, double bottom at 8.2. 4-hour chart here, high and low in the same candlestick, bottom fishing play to perfection off of that support level. Anything under 9.4 is just a lower high, and we're going to be looking for the tightening range. So again, doing the analysis for Bitcoin showed me what the setup was, and then the setup for everybody else was a lot more clear because it's just little slight variations on the same broader pattern. Daily inside bars are forming for the most part, held the low for the most part on the significant pullback from yesterday. 2-hour or 4-hour, depending on which you like better, tightening equilibrium patterns shaping up, and how those patterns break will likely dictate breaks of the daily inside bars, and we're going to expect a volatility spike on those breaks, but that might not be until tomorrow. We could see another 12, 16 hours trading within this tightening pattern. So keeping an eye on them, perhaps setting some orders in case we get breaks. But for me personally, my trading style in 2019 in the crypto world is going to be way different than 2017, because in 2017, I literally shaped my life around cryptocurrency trading. I would wake up 2 hours every 2 hours in the middle of the night to check on positions. And I have scenarios now where, I hit all my goals thanks to 2017, and I'm not going to let money dictate my life at this point. So I was looking to enter a trade the other night on BCH, and I passed it up because I said, I'm about to go to bed and I don't feel like dealing with it. So make sure that your trading style is matching your lifestyle. And if we do get crazy volatility again, I'll probably shift things a little bit to take advantage of it. But as of right now, life is more important. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you all are well. I hope you do good things out there, and we'll check back in tomorrow. Adventure time. So this is in Vegas, and we are hitting the road. My buddy and I both going back to the East Coast. I was going to Florida. He was going to North Carolina. So we went probably half the way together and then went our separate ways, and we certainly loaded up on the good stuff. I was beer deficient on my road trip, and my previous road trip where I went with my buddies spoiled me because I was drinking the crap water beer, high school, college, and then out of college, he introduced me to good beer. And once you go good beer and you enjoy it, you cannot go back. So we loaded up some nice hemp ale. If you try the Hemperor by New Belgium Brewing, they make that here in town. That's the best hemp beer I've ever had. And if you like the taste of ganja, you're going to like that beer. Old Rasputin is also a favorite of mine. So we adventured on through Zion, and this was my second. I think I've been to Zion 3 times now, but my buddy grew up as a hunter, and he was blown away by how close the deer get because they're just used to being around people and they are protected. So it was freezing, but it was beautiful as always. I had never been to Zion in the winter, so a little bit of a different landscape, but certainly still epic as always. And we ended up camping overnight, and the lows were 12 degrees. And in Celsius, that is, I think, a -11. I've never camped that cold before. It was a very interesting experience. You can see the running water is freezing here. But it was wild. I don't think I'll ever do that again. But, wearing 8 different clothes and having 4 layers of sleeping bags and blankets. And we made it. Nice big old rocks. We went with the little dog, Nico. And we originally got him when I was in college with my buddy and found him on the side of the road. But got him mid-shake there. Interesting face. But he was fun to come and play with and have on the adventure in the national park. So we drove from Zion across through Texas. It actually snowed in Texas as well, which was certainly not expected. And got some Texas state parks coming up, and then heading back to Florida before going to Costa Rica after that. So I guess we'll go through Costa Rica. I've certainly done that before, but we'll go through again and finish up as we head into the current 2019 spring. So again, this road trip was 6 years ago. Every video I get messages from people saying, wow, how are you getting internet while you're streaming? And, oh, you should come say hello in South Utah. I'm over in blah, blah, blah. This is all a long time ago, but we'll do some more current stuff when the gardens get going. I'll do some garden progress, and I think I'm going to buy a house, turn into a little farm soon. Been scouting for a long time, just found a potential prospect. So we'll see. Do good things again. See you soon.